Hi there, welcome back to the Rare Book Reviews channel where I talk about how much I love books, book collecting and reading, libraries and book shopping. And I have done quite a few of those videos, and I really value all the people who have responded or followed the channel, things like that. It's really cool and I appreciate everyone doing it. It really brights up my week, and it's fun to have a little extra time to talk or think about books. So thank you again to everybody who has supported the channel. It's awesome. Today, I'm doing something kind of fun. Often when I do my shopping videos, I have to say that I can't show all of the books that I bought because some of them are for presents. And people started asking me when I was going to show all these presents that I was giving people. So today I'm doing one about the box of books that I'm sending to my niece. She is a voracious reader, and it is really fun to shop for her. So during the year, I set things aside for what I think is going on with her MO of reading at the time. And I love finding bargains and really cool books, things I've read or things I've heard about that she might like. It's really fun. And I enjoy sending them. So a couple tips on mailing books. You can ship things book rate, which is way more affordable. There's a couple problems with it though. There's a couple drawbacks, and I'm not sending book rate today because you have to go to the post office when they're open. You have to go in person. I really enjoy using the USPS.gov site where you can click and ship. I really like weighing it myself, putting the thing on it. It saves me the errand of getting to the post office because you can schedule a pickup and you get a tracking number. It's very convenient. And I love just sending it, putting it on the porch where it's covered from the weather and letting the postman pick them up. But if you send book rate, media rate, that is not an option. You have to go to the actual post office when it's open. And some weeks I cannot take on another errand. Even stopping at the gas station sometimes feels like all I can manage. So this is one of those weeks. And honestly, I left it too long. I am sending across the country. Book rate does take a little bit longer. You really need to allow a little extra time. The other thing about book rate is you can only send printed material. So sending anything else is not an option. You can't put an extra little gift in there or baked goods or a piece of fabric or a stuffed animal. Only printed material, and that they will ask you that at the post office. It is a nice economical option though. It is far less expensive to send book rate, and you can use whatever box you want. Today, I am going to take the option to use the flat rate shipping, which I love because, again, I am sending books across the country. So I think it's really great that I have the option of just putting as much as I want in this box, not worrying about how much it weighs because books are dense. And it is also really cool that you can order the materials. This is my favorite box for books. It is the medium. I think it costs about $15 to ship it. The boxes are free. They often have them at the post office, or you can order them. On the USPS site, there is an option to order shipping materials, and the flat rate items are free. You don't have to pay delivery or anything. You have to wait for a hot minute. So if you're in a hurry, this is not the great option. It's nice to have them on hand. This is my favorite one for books, and I'll show you how they fit in. But there is another medium rate, which is the same cost, and it is just longer and sort of shallower. And that is great if you want to send something really giant, like a giant big coffee table book. They will fit in there, and it's great. I used it once for children's books. My brother requested when his son was born if I could find the books that we read as children. And so I had a lot of picture book type format, and they fit in the larger format, medium rate, pretty well. The beauty of this box is when I started doing this for my niece, she was really into Nancy Drew. And I think a coincidence, that type of book, the hardback modern Nancy Drews, exactly 2 wide. So you could put 2 stacks in here and they just were really flush. It's really important when you send books, you want them to be tight and snug in there. You don't want them rattling around because the corners will get a little bit beat up. So today I'm sending a conglomeration, many sizes. And the way I'm going to do it, because I'm going to send a normal hardback, I'm going to start in one corner and fill it up and then fill in the sides. That's my approach. So what did we get for the niece? She's into true crime, but not too gory. She's going to be 17 on this birthday. And she's still enjoying fairy tales, sort of the more leaning towards more serious adult type, really put your thinking cap on. So that was what I was looking for the past 6 months or so. And these are the things I found. Killers of the Flower Moon by David Gran. This is wonderful. His previous book, The Lost City of Z, was also really cool. They made a movie of The Lost City of Z. I think the book is better. Usually the book is better. Am I right? Does people agree with me? Or is the book version usually better than the movie? Are there people who think the movies are better than the books? I believe read the book first, see the movie. Is that why I think that the book is better? In any event, Lost City of Z was a good movie and it was a big budget movie, but the book I think was better. This book, maybe because that movie did well, this book is amazing and it is true crime. It is sort of the origin story of the FBI and it has a lot to do with crime on Native American reservations, which is fascinating. I heard a great interview with David Gran when this book was coming out about how he found really, I think, what historians call primary source material. So diaries, letters, things that were written down at the time contemporaneously and that really had not come to light. So he really discovered new parts of the story and new angles to consider. And the book is very well written. I loved it. It was a bargain. All these books were a bargain. And this is going to be a movie. It's going to have Leonardo DiCaprio in it. So it is going to be a blockbuster. And it will be really cool, I think, to read this before it comes out as a movie. And I've given this to other people as a gift as well. So when I put this in the books, I'm going to start here and stack up. Then I'll fill in the sides. Susanna Clark, wonderful. I love everything that Susanna Clark has written. It's all fun and weird. She wrote Jonathan Strange and Professor Norrell, which is written as if it is nonfiction, has footnotes, but it is fiction, I guess, about an alternate reality where we're living in England in, I want to say, Victorian times. And magic is a thing that people used to do and they have forgotten how. And there were books of magic and then there were magical books. So it's a huge motif in the book about books and book collecting and also magic and wizards. Love it. This, I think, was her second book. These are her own fairy tales. So these are very original, but written in the vibe of Grimm's fairy tales. So really cool. And then, of course, she wrote Parnassus. I'm going to say that's not Piranesi. Also, one of my favorites of modern recent literature. A great book. So I am hoping that my niece enjoys this. It's really cool. I like the format. It's kind of embossed, fairy tales. Really cool. I checked. My niece has not read Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Berendt, a blockbuster. The movie is a kick, and the book is great. And it is true crime, and it is murder, but it is not graphic, gory murder. So I decided that it was all right. I also picked her up World Folk Tales. It's a little more academic, so I think this will fit the brief, if you will. She is very interested in the US government and sort of our history of understanding current events. So I thought this would be really cool. And it's a really cool part of history. The Navajo Code Talkers by Doris Paul. There is, of course, a movie, but I think this is really cool. This is a 1973 book reprinted in 1992. So it is slightly vintage, but it's really cool because they have the actual words in the Navajo language that were sort of converted into the English alphabet so that they could use them for things that would be maybe intuitive to native speakers, but not to English speakers or to people of the sort of our enemy. It wouldn't make sense to them, but it does make sense to the Navajo. And I just think this is a genius part of World War II. So cool book. The Orchid Thief by Susan Orlean. If you have not read this, it is so weird. It is crime. And I don't know what else to tell you without spoiling anything. I think the movie is just a complete departure from the book. So they'll just treat them as completely different things, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, if anyone would care to. But I think this is a great one for definitely true crime that isn't gory, just weird and fascinating. Priceless. This, I'm really excited. I feel like this is such a good find. A book written by an FBI agent who was one of the first to do art theft, art fraud, and really sort of created the art fraud unit at FBI. And his stories are really cool. It just seems like the kind of person that you'd want to hang out with and hear his sort of war stories. And it's a really fun book. And then I also have Conan Doyle for the Defense by Margaret Fox. Margaret Fox. This is a great book. This is about a true crime case where someone went to prison and appealed to Arthur Conan Doyle to please help him prove that he was innocent. And I just imagine that he got a million of that kind of letter. I think everybody in jail wants people to believe they are really innocent. And I think probably some of them are. Our justice system is just not perfect, and certainly England's isn't either. But somehow this gentleman got his attention. He got Arthur Conan Doyle to pay attention to him and his case. And of course, Conan Doyle was big into deduction and science and reasoning. And there's a case where maybe this guy really didn't get a fair shake. So if you just look at the facts, which of course is Conan Doyle's strength, maybe you would come to a different conclusion. And Conan Doyle kind of got involved in the court system. And what a weird story that he became sort of Sherlock Holmes in a way. So I think this is a great book for what I was shopping for. Okay, I'll show you the box now. So you can see I've sort of gone from the bottom. I tried to make them smaller as I went, so they're all flush against one side. They're all flush against sort of lower left. And then the dimensions of this box mean that a trade paperback versus a hardcover. Hardcovers are generally a little bit taller. This one isn't completely full size, and that's why I left it for last. So the trade paperbacks fit against the shorter side pretty well, so I can put that up there. And then I'm leaving, there's a little bit of room left here along the longer side, so I can put one more book in there. I'm gonna fill in the gaps here with, I tend to save those plastic pillows that come in your shipping orders. I don't think I'm gonna need any of those, but I will put a little bit of paper, butcher paper maybe, in the gaps to keep them steady. Do not use newspaper. The newsprint from newspaper will transfer off to your fingertips, and the same thing happens to books. So don't use that for packing because it'll come off on the margin, the page edge where it's white, will end up getting some of that newsprint on it, and heaven forbid you get on the cover and then it's really hard to get off. So white paper, if you have any scrap paper around, or butcher paper, sometimes comes in shipments. They don't really use it as much anymore. I have since squirreled away because I love a reuse project. And I do ship a lot of books, so it is handy to have those kinds of things. And then I'll just make sure they're all in there really, really snug. And then I will ship them off. And that is the story of the birthday box. And I am so excited. I get such a kick out of finding sort of one of these treasures in new condition in a used bookstore that I think is going to be great. And then I hold on to them during the year. I have a present shelf and I have some other ones going. I'm already Christmas shopping because I think there is a book for everyone and I love being the person to find them. So I'm super excited to introduce my niece to these books. Most of them I have read and enjoyed and loved, and I can't wait to get a review. Again, I want to thank everybody who's watched and supported the channel. It's really fun to have a reason to sit down and talk about books, and I love getting the comments so I get to talk about it more. So thanks again and happy reading.